The Key Index of Key Creative Studio and Master Drawing Japan. Um, this video is going to be on how to draw anime and manga characters. Um, Disclaimer and apologies in advance. I am not a anime and manga person. That is just not my thing. Even though I live and work in Japan and I teach drawing in Japan. Um, Anime and manga is not particularly my forte. Now I've been around long enough that I know a fairly I fairly know quite a bit about it in terms of like its history and how things are designed and stuff like that. But that matter of design is not particularly my thing. And drawing anime and manga, is a style that has come out of the culture of Japan, and that's something you guys should keep in mind. That the culture from which a particular design comes from is very much influenced by the culture. you know so there's certain things that are idealized in animation and manga that are not necessarily traditionally idealized, that we say, like in Western design, like in American comics and animation. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into it. Okay, so when it comes to, like, okay, like how do you do a anime manga character design? um well, this particular industry is so diverse. There are so many different types of design when it comes to anime. However, there are some basic truisms that exist in terms of how things are designed. um, and the same thing could be said, just, let's say, like in American comics, or in American traditional illustration. There are just certain truisms. American illustration and comics, they generally, typically, it aims for like a more of like a realistic or like representational kind of design. So so the design is very much leaning towards a realistic representation of human proportions and anatomy. Um, like, for example, like, the eyes are spaced like five eyes apart. There's a very clear nose that is protruding, from the face, as a piece of architecture. That the lips, are clearly, a soft membrane, on the face, and then there's a kind of like a fleshiness that, we expect to see in the face. If it's female, it's gonna be softer. If it's an older person, or if it's a male, we'll expect to see realistic lines and crevices, or depressions in the face. When it comes to an anime style character, things are extremely abstracted. Um, the eyes being, I guess, at the top of that list. That's the one thing that everybody recognizes as to be like an anime character, is like, some character like with very, very large eyes, and large eyes and a small mouth, and the baseball home plate shaped designed head. um, and you know and I think one of the reasons why, it has this kind of design. Of course, one, of course, it's production, to draw something, easily, and to reproduce it easily. But also, there are other things, that are at work here, in terms of, drawing something that is, um, as they see, as ideal, um, an ideal face being abstracted here. And that kind of a shape of a face leans a lot more towards a youthful kind of face, like, like maybe like an adolescent, somebody, that we would see like in their mid to late teens or something like that. Um, the design is like that, but the characters, of course, are expected to be, are being represented. We're supposed to interpret them as being older, but they have like this very like youthful kind of face, which is like a lot of the weight is in the bottom third of the face. The nose is extremely small. The mouth is extremely small. Actually, there's not even any sort of like anatomy there for the nose. It's just an implied shadow there, which is usually implied by like a little triangle and a dark spot there, and that's pretty much it. Lots of shaggy hair, shaggy or spiky hair, almost like 80s glam rock kind of stuff. Um, and that's all well and good, but these are the things that we usually associate with the animate design. um, Whether we're talking about anime from the late 60s, the 70s, 80s, even to today. These truisms still exist. um, this character that I'm drawing here actually is a character that I really um, uh, I was fond of when I was in high school. There was an anime called Macross, which got turned into which got licensed in America as a TV show called Robotech, and and in America the character's name was Rick Hunter, I think. I think in Japan his name was like Hikaru, not the guy, Hikaru something. I forget his name, but basically Macross was Top Gun, was Top Gun in space. Actually, Macross was around way before Top Gun. On top of that, so that's something to think about. Um, but Rick Hunter, has had a lot of the same attributes of a typical like anime hero. Even though he's supposed to be like in his 20s, he has a face that looks like a 16-year-old boy. Large eyes. The nose is abstracted as like this kind of just like a triangle, and mostly because of the shadow, not the anatomy itself. Um, Another thing is also the mouth. The mouths of anime characters are usually very very small, and usually are just represented as like almost like a triangle kind of shape. There's no squashing or stretching in terms of like the articulation of the mouth in relation to the face, unless the character is making a very extreme and almost like absurd like kind of like facial expression. The actual shape of the face does not change from that baseball plate kind of shape. Um, the hair on anime characters, you know, unlike other forms of illustration, where we kind of have a sense of like where the head is sprouting from, and usually like a kind of drapery. Um, it that the hair should sweep uh, relatively like from like one point, right? But in manga, typically, it's like it's all over the place, right? Again, it's like it's like an 80s glam rock kind of wig. So when you draw the hair on the head, you can draw it as like an overall like graphic shape. Um, uh, some people like make it kind of spiky. Some people do it in a way that looks kind of like fluffy in a way. Um, And I think this in this one here, I'm going for like the fluffy kind of look. Um, but essentially, they it's designed in a way that it's used to frame the face, which is not much different from what we do like in American comics and animation. Oh. Uh, an, uh, Another note about the eyes here. The eyes are also famous for having these sparkly lights in the eyes, and they're called specular highlights. And normally, like in the human eye, if we're looking at someone, we only should see like at most maybe two, right? Like one, which is like the main one, and then like the light being refracted by that on the opposite side. But in anime or manga characters, we might see as many as I don't know, 4 or 5 of these things. Some people, they really go out there. I think even like what they call it, bisho. No, no, there's the kind of like there's a kind of like a romance beauty kind of like girls manga, where the eyes are, like they're all sparkly and stuff like that. So, um, when you draw that, what are the one of the things that I do? Like here's a tip. Like how do you do that, right? Once like you establish like that basic general graphic shape for the eyes, you can just like, shade it over like with one tone, and then I would do is I'll draw like a circle on top of it, and then underneath that, I'll put like the dark of the iris underneath that, and then I'll just continue like to make like little like smaller ones around it. Um, at least that's my basic approach to it. Um, Again, here like we have this manga character with very childlike features, but like um, with sometimes quite mature looking accoutrements here. Okay, and that's another common trope when it comes to um, anime characters. Is like they're mixing aspects of the youthfulness of an adolescent, but sometimes with certain accoutrements, that belong on a mature person, you know. When it comes to um, like drawing the body, okay, if you're gonna draw like a regular conventional person, the average person stands about 6.5 heads high. Okay, um, the one I'm drawing right now is I'm aiming for this to be like just a more of a just a conventional um, uh, everyday person. That this is not like an anime style kind of character. Um, but the average person, stands about like 6.5 heads high. If it's idealized, it might be 7 or even maybe like 8 heads high, which you might see like in fashion. We're talking about like maybe like a very heroic looking character, they might be as much as even like 9 heads high. Um, but typically like this is what we'll see, right? Um, my point is that a lot of like when it comes down to um, getting like the look of an anime character, it's in like measuring out the proportions. So for an anime character, um, an anime character might be standing as much as um, uh, yeah, maybe 5.5 or 6 heads high, but parts of the body are going to be um, uh, uh, they're going to be measured out a lot more differently. So like the relationship between, let's say, the rib cage and the pelvis and the legs are relatively relatively even, right? But in an anime character, what you might have is like you might have like the torso um, spaced up a little bit higher, and then like the legs are much longer. So so you get the legs being um, uh, abstracted in an idealized way. So yeah, that arm looks a little bit funky for me, but I think I'm gonna fix that in a little bit. Oh, another important point. It's not also just the spacing from top to bottom, from head to toe, but it's also the spacing from shoulder to shoulder that people don't pay enough attention to. The average person, let's say for like a female, roughly speaking, generally speaking, is about like 3 heads apart, like from shoulder to shoulder, right? So let's say like from one side of the neck to the shoulder, that roughly measures about 1 head, and then like from the neck to the shoulder on the other side, it measures about 1 head. Um, but for an anime character, you'll have a character that might be measuring only like 2 heads across, and so we're talking like half a head on one side of the shoulder, half a head on the other side of the shoulder, and then like the head in the middle. So the head is much more narrower. Okay, um, and we're talking about females here. Okay, if we're talking about a conventional Western style like male character, um, if we're talking like let's say like a Superman, or a Conan the Barbarian kind of character, it might be as much as like 5 heads across, really, because the appearance of the shoulders, are made to look massive, um, which makes the head look a little bit smaller actually. So by the way, for people who've lived in Japan, if you've lived in Japan for like more than like a few months, at least once in your one time you're gonna hear someone say to you, a Japanese native gonna give you a compliment and say, oh, like you have a small face, and that's stemming from because and not to be stereotypical, because but people are different. Japanese typically tend to have like narrower shoulders than the average like European or American person. So it gives the appearance, that their heads are a little bit larger, but their heads are not any larger than our heads. It's just that their shoulders are a little bit narrower, and it causes their um, it causes the head to look larger, you know. So anyway, my point being is that you make the shoulders narrow on an anime character, which makes the head look larger, which draws more attention to the face. Um, of course, also, the torso is drawn smaller. The rib cage is extremely small, um, and then like the legs are stretched out much longer. So if you compare the one on the left, which is like just a conventional female, and then like the one on the right, which is what we see as a conventional like anime character. You can see like how much dramatically like longer that the legs are, um, and look, all this is just done by from the spacing pretty much. Um, Here I think yeah, here I'm measuring it out, just like the yeah, For a female, it's three heads across. Um, for anime female, it's about two. So with half on each side of the head. you know, uh, Short torso, long legs. Yeah. Okay. So that's how you do that. Um, this character that I'm gonna draw here is going to show. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Um, Even here, where like this person is screaming and yelling, right? There's not that much change in terms of like the anatomy of the face. The cheeks are stretched out a little bit more, but it doesn't really change that much at all. I'm still making the mouth to fit the confines of the shape of that baseball plate shape of head. Um, Oops. Yeah, okay. I didn't cheat here. It's just that I took a break in between here, and I forgot I already started drawing, and I didn't turn the camera back on, so I kind of came back in the middle of his drawing. So um, overall, when it comes to like learning how to draw in a particular style, if you want to draw like an anime manga style, or if you want to learn how to draw, let's say, in a Disney style, or you want to draw it like in the Marvel style or something like that. My advice to you is, if you really want to know how to draw these things well, is to learn how to draw. Like learn how like to draw the human figure, um, and that will give you the freedom, to be able to draw it in any particular style that you want. Um, it's almost like saying, like, yeah, I want to know, how to do I want to know how to rap and rhyme, and yet, like, you haven't learned how to speak yet, right? So, you have to learn some basic rules first, before you can start like jumping into the abstractions. I don't recommend starting with the abstractions and like letting that be like your starting point, because when it comes time, when you if you are going to be doing this like seriously or semi seriously, and you have a situation where you want to draw the character in a particular kind of position or doing a certain kind of action, and if you've been relying only on like formulas, um, on how to like put a halfway decent you know anime style figure together, um, you're gonna have difficulty. You're gonna have trouble, because you didn't exercise the other muscles to, your other drawing muscles, shall we say, to help you solve that problem, or for it to not be a problem when you come up to those kinds of situations. So so my advice to you is like, like just learn how to draw, um, the human figure. Learn how to draw gestures, and like once you get that, then you have the freedom, like, to draw in any particular way that you want. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you guys. This was not particularly an exactly how to draw, but I would say it was a how to think about drawing. And that's the important thing to remember when it comes to drawing. Drawing is actually thinking. It's not something you just do. It's how you're using your mind, and how you see things. That's what really enables you to be able to draw. Okay. If you guys got any questions, please like leave them below. I hope this was helpful for you. If you got anything out of it, or if you wanted to, there was something else that you were looking to see, please let me know in the comments. Okay. All right. Thanks again, and I'll be back soon with another video. All right. Take care. Bye bye.